And welcome back to Straight Talk. Thanks for joining us this week. Now we're turning to Washington, D.C., where Congress has just days to avert a government shutdown. We're speaking with one of Oregon's newest members of Congress today, U.S. Representative Maxine Dexter, who serves Oregon's 3rd Congressional District, covering much of Portland's east side, east of the Willamette, and stretches out to parts of Hood River. Representative Dexter also serves on both the House Committee on Natural Resources and the Veterans Affairs Committee. She's also a founding member of the Democratic Doctors Caucus. Congresswoman Dexter, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie.
Before we get started, I want to make a quick technical note to our viewers. We are taping this interview on Thursday, September 25th, so things could change by the time you actually see this interview. But I want to start first with immigration. So recently you highlighted the case of Jackie Merlos. We've done some reporting on this, a Portland mother detained with her family after a visit to the U.S.-Canada border. You visited the Northwest ICE Processing Center and later spoke very emotionally about the case on Capitol Hill. Why did you step in on this, and what's the latest on this that you could share with us?
Yeah, thank you so much. So Jackie and her kids, with her mother, Juana, went up to the Canadian border to visit with her sister. It was something they've done in the past. They were hugging, and then they were detained. And they were disappeared. We literally didn't know where they were. Her community was looking for them for over 12 days by the time we were alerted. So we didn't know where she was. We just got in the car, my chief and I, and literally started driving north and found them in Ferndale, Washington in a CBP facility.
Why did you want to step in and get so involved in this?
Yeah.
And why did you feel it struck you so emotionally?
You know, I think it's the reality that the cruelty and the lack of consistency with what Americans were told was going to be the practice of this immigration reform that Donald Trump was trying to bring to us. They are not the worst of the worst. These were not criminals. This is a mother, her 4 U.S. citizen children. She has been here more than 20 years, has a business, employs members of our community, pays taxes, never has broken any laws, and goes to church. And she was detained and kept in a windowless cell with her 4 citizen children for 12 days, disappeared. Nobody knew where she was. She had no idea if her family was looking for her. The egregiousness of it, the cruelty of it, she's one of my constituents. It would be what I would hope someone would do for me or you or others if something so egregious was done for us or against us. So the reality is that this is still an ongoing issue. You asked for an update. We just found out this morning that her release request has still been denied. Her children are starting a new year of school in a person's house that they knew, but certainly not their parents, and they're feeling guilty and traumatized about the separation that they are undergoing. They feel accountable for their father being detained also. So the trauma on this family is emblematic of trauma happening across our country, and as a representative of Congress, it's against our Constitution, it's against our American values.
Have you heard from other families or other people in your constituency who are going through this right now that you're also working with?
Yeah, we have another family that we were just alerted to last night. Raphael was taken very reportedly violently, broken glass window pulled out of his car on his way to work, and he had just had elbow surgery, and he's very concerned that his elbow's been injured, and now we're being told he's being deported back to Mexico rather than having the injury that our agents, probably exacerbated, if not caused, being addressed. We were just at the Portland ICE facility this morning asking questions with the senators and Congressman Bonamici, just asking questions about practices. And, the fear and intimidation that our community is feeling is very real, and trying to understand how our local agents are planning on addressing their concerns.
For viewers or people who support a tougher enforcement of immigration and immigration laws, what specific policy or path is there from your perspective to balance due process and also that enforcement?
Yeah, absolutely. There is no question we need immigration reform in this country. We need people who are legally in this country, able to work and following our laws, without question. Donald Trump's promise to be getting rid of criminals and drug trafficking, and that is not these families that we are tearing apart. So I absolutely believe that a balanced bipartisan immigration reform policy needs to be passed. And in fact, there was one about to be passed. And Donald Trump and the Republican Party decided not to move that forward before the election. So we have made choices that have landed us in this position now where cruelty and family separation is the norm, rather than actually limiting people's ability to commit crimes and to be in our country illegally. We need easy pathways for people to get in here legitimately, and also we need to enforce our laws. And these are not laws being enforced. We're breaking the constitutional guarantees of due process.
Because we're limited on time, I want to move on to the government shutdown, which the ticking clock is happening right now in Washington. It will run out on midnight September 30th into October 1st if there is not an agreement made at this point. What are you pushing House leaders right now to do to avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, the House and the Senate Democratic leaders have been very clear. We want a bipartisan agreement. We want the government to stay funded, full stop. The Democrats are at the table waiting, and that table has been left by both our president and the Republican leadership. They have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. They are in charge. It is up to them to keep our government funded, and they need Democrat votes, and we are going to hold the line on health care. They are trying to gut the health care system that as many as 20 million Americans may lose their insurance between ACA subsidy, tax credits being left behind, increases in premiums, and Medicaid cuts. That's 20 million Americans. Like, we cannot just stand by silently while their health care is lost.
And this is from the big, beautiful bill primarily that was passed earlier this year by Republicans.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to talk more about healthcare because, of course, before you became a lawmaker, you were a doctor, you worked in critical care. I want to know, right now with what we're seeing a lot of headlines when it comes to the Health and Human Services, when it comes to the CDC. I want to know your perspective on these changes we've seen recently, for example, on vaccines or even Tylenol use during pregnancy that's what a lot of people are talking about right
absolutely.
now. What is your perspective on that?
I think that everyone, you, me, we should be listening to physicians, our clinicians, not politicians. Politicians are not using data and science to guide these decisions. RFK Jr. is making very reckless decisions around vaccines. Donald Trump talking about a possible causation when there's no at all science to back that up. There literally are 2.5 million pregnant women who were looked at in a very large study that when you control for external factors, the acetaminophen was not at all suspected to be the cause of autism. There's very good reason to be skeptical, and yet he's out there talking about women going through pregnancy without any pain relief, feeling guilty if they have a child with autism now, potentially that they have caused that, children asking their mothers if they have autism because they took Tylenol. That sort of cruelty and recklessness is absolutely unnecessary, and it's extremely irresponsible. And so, yes, I encourage people to seek consultation with their physician, to not be taking the recommendations of politicians. And as a politician, I am committed to getting us out of the exam room and keeping us in lawmaking where we belong.
I want to ask you, just recently today, actually, Democratic Representative Haley Stevens from Michigan just announced she is drafting articles of impeachment against Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. You can see here, this was her tweet, where she says this is because of what she calls healthcare chaos. Where do you stand on this step from her?
Yeah, the Democratic Doctors Caucus called for his resignation very early on. We've been saying all along he is unqualified and unfit to fulfill this role. I 100% believe that he should be fired if he won't resign, and if articles of impeachment have grounds for impeachment, we absolutely should take that path. I think whether or not that is the best path or him just being fired because he's unfit, the faster, more appropriate intervention is that Donald Trump relinquishes him of his duties because he is absolutely unfit for that office.
Congresswoman Dexter, thank you so much. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you for being here. And thank you so much for watching. A reminder, you can stream Straight Talk on your own schedule. You can download our free TV app, KGW Plus. It's available now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Or you can watch us on YouTube anytime. We'll have a great week. We'll see you back here next week.